You walk into Best Buy or Costco on a Saturday afternoon. The TV wall is glowing, colors are popping, motion is smooth. You stand there, maybe 10 feet back, and think, wow, that looks incredible. So you buy it, you get it home, you unbox it, mount it, fire it up, and something feels off. The colors aren't as vibrant, the motion looks choppy during sports, maybe there's more glare than you expected. You start wondering, is this the same TV I saw in the store? Here's the thing, it is, but what you're seeing at home, that's not what the store was showing you, and it's definitely not what the professional reviewers were testing when they gave it 4.5 stars. Today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood parts of TV shopping. Why the picture you see in the showroom often bears little resemblance to what you'll experience in your living room, and why that gap matters more than most people realize. I'm not here to accuse anyone of lying to you, but I am here to make sure you understand what's really going on before you spend $1,000 or more on a screen that might not deliver what you thought you were getting. Let's talk about it. Here's what most people don't know. When you're standing in front of that TV wall at a big box retailer, you're not seeing the TV in anything close to normal conditions. First, the lighting. Stores are bright. We're talking overhead fluorescence, often 500 to 1000 lux or more. That's 2 to 5 times brighter than a typical living room during the day, and 10 times brighter than your living room at night when you're actually watching TV. So what do stores do? They crank up the brightness, they max out the backlight, they boost contrast and color saturation to levels that would look cartoonish in your home. This is a setting often called vivid or dynamic mode, and it's specifically designed to grab your attention in a bright retail environment. And it works. Under those conditions, the TV looks stunning. But here's the problem. Once you get that TV home and you're watching it under normal lighting, maybe some lamps, maybe evening ambient light, that same picture mode often looks harsh, oversaturated, and unnatural. Skin tones turn orange, colors bleed, fine details get lost in the over-sharpening. Now you can change those settings at home. Most TVs have a movie or filmmaker mode that's much more accurate, but a lot of people don't know to do that, or they try it and think, wait, this looks worse than it did in the store. And technically they're right, it looks different. But it's not worse, it's just not optimized for a lighting environment that doesn't exist in your house. Here's another layer. The content that's playing on those demo screens in the store is not what you'll be watching at home. Retailers often use specially mastered demo reels, videos designed to showcase the absolute best-case scenario for that display. We're talking nature documentaries shot in 4K HDR with perfect color grading, or high frame rate action clips that highlight motion clarity. These reels are often provided by the TV manufacturers themselves. They're optimized for the exact panel technology in that TV. They're compressed carefully to avoid banding or artifacts, and they loop endlessly in a way that makes the TV look flawless. But when you get home and fire up Netflix or cable or even a Blu-ray, that content is different. Streaming services compress video to save bandwidth, especially if your internet connection isn't blazing fast. Cable and satellite TV often deliver lower resolution feeds. Even physical media can vary depending on how it was mastered. So the TV that looked razor sharp playing a demo reel in the store might look just okay when you're watching Yellowstone on Paramount Plus with some compression artifacts and less than perfect source material. Again, this isn't the TV's fault, but it's a gap between expectation and reality that catches a lot of people off guard. When you read a glowing review from a site like Rudding's, TechRadar, or Tom's Guide, those reviewers are testing the TV under controlled conditions that are very different from both the showroom and your living room. Reviewers typically use calibrated settings. They measure brightness, color accuracy, contrast ratio, and viewing angles with professional equipment. They test multiple picture modes. They watch a variety of content, streaming, Blu-ray, gaming, to see how the TV handles different sources. And here's the key. They do all of this in a controlled environment, often a dark or semi-dark room, using reference quality source material. So when a reviewer says this TV has excellent color accuracy, they're often talking about the TV in movie mode, calibrated in a dim room with high-quality content. That's the gold standard. That's what the TV is capable of. But in the store, you're seeing it in vivid mode, under bright lights with a looping demo reel. And at home, you might be in standard mode, with the default settings, watching compressed streaming content in a room with afternoon sunlight coming through the windows. Same TV, 3 completely different experiences. Here's where things get even more complicated. The exact model you saw in the store might not be the same one the reviewers tested, even if it has the same name. TV manufacturers often produce multiple variants of the same model for different retailers. Best Buy might get a version with a slightly different model number suffix than Costco or Amazon. Sometimes these are functionally identical, but other times there can be small differences, different ports, slightly different panel types, or even software variations. For example, you might see a Samsung model reviewed as the QN90C, but Best Buy sells it as the QN90CA, or Costco has the QN90CC. In many cases, these are the same TV, but in some cases, they're not quite the same, and those differences, while small, can affect things like brightness uniformity, viewing angles, or even smart TV performance. This practice, sometimes called model fragmentation, makes it harder to comparison shop. It can also make it difficult to know whether the TV you're buying is the exact one that got rave reviews online. The solution: before you buy, look up the exact model number, every letter and digit, and cross-reference it with professional reviews. Sites like Runtings often note these variants, and some retailers will clarify which version they're selling if you ask. Let's go back to picture settings for a moment, because this is one of the most misunderstood aspects of TV ownership. When you buy a TV, it comes with preset picture modes: vivid, standard, movie, game, and so on. Most TVs ship in standard or vivid mode by default, because manufacturers assume you want a bright, punchy picture right out of the box, but those modes are rarely accurate. Vivid mode, in particular, is designed for retail environments. It oversaturates colors, sharpens edges artificially, and often introduces motion smoothing, the soap opera effect, that makes movies look like daytime TV. Professional reviewers almost always test TVs in movie or filmmaker mode, which is calibrated to industry standards. This mode is more accurate, but it can look dimmer and less vibrant at first, especially if you've been staring at a vivid mode screen for the past hour in a brightly lit store. So here's the disconnect. You see the TV in the store in vivid mode. You read a review where the TV was tested in movie mode. You bring it home and leave it in standard mode. You're comparing 3 different pictures. The good news: you can change this. Most modern TVs let you adjust picture settings extensively, and there are guides online, sometimes even from the manufacturers, that walk you through optimizing your TV for your specific room and viewing conditions. But a lot of people never do that. They leave the TV in whatever mode it came in, and then they wonder why it doesn't look like it did in the store or in the reviews. One of the biggest reasons TVs look different at home is simply the room they're in. In the store, TVs are mounted on walls under consistent bright lighting. At home, your TV might be runs near a window with direct sunlight, in a basement with low ambient light, in a living room with warm-toned lamps, mounted at a different height or viewing angle. All of these factors affect how the picture looks. A TV with poor viewing angles might look great head-on in the store, but washed out if you're sitting off to the side on your couch. A TV with high peak brightness might shine in a bright store, but feel overly aggressive in a dim room at night. Professional reviewers often test for these variables: viewing angles, reflections, performance in bright versus dark rooms, but the average shopper in a store isn't thinking about any of that. They're just looking at the screen and thinking, that looks good. The problem is, good in a brightly lit store doesn't always translate to good in your specific home setup. Here's another important point. Professional reviewers test TVs for things that don't show up in a quick showroom glance. They measure black levels and contrast in dark scenes, motion handling during fast sports or action sequences, uniformity across the entire screen, are there darker patches or bright spots, color volume and HDR performance with a variety of content, long-term performance, including how the TV handles heat and whether settings drift over time. You can't see any of that in a 5-minute store demo. You can't see how the TV handles a dark, moody scene in a Christopher Nolan film. You can't see whether it introduces judder during 24 FPS movies. You can't see if it has blooming around bright objects on a dark background. But reviewers catch all of that. So when you read a review that says, this TV has excellent black levels but struggles with motion, that's information you'll never get from standing in front of the TV wall at Costco. Research before you go to the store. Read professional reviews from multiple sources. Look at measurements, not just opinions. Sites like Runtings are invaluable because they test the same way every time and provide detailed data. 2. Don't trust the showroom picture. Assume the TV is set to vivid mode and tuned for store lighting. Ask yourself, would this TV still look good in my room, under my lighting? Write down the full model number from the price tag and compare it to the one in reviews. Watch out for retailer-specific variants. 4. Ask about return policies. Many retailers offer generous return windows, especially if you're buying online. Take advantage of that. Get the TV home, set it up, watch it for a few days and see if it meets your expectations. 5. Plan to adjust settings. Don't expect the TV to look perfect out of the box. Budget some time to explore picture modes, adjust brightness and color, and maybe even follow an online calibration guide. 6. Consider your room conditions. If you have a bright room with lots of windows, prioritize TVs with high peak brightness and good anti-reflective coatings. If you watch mostly at night, prioritize contrast and black levels. The TV you see in the store is the same TV you'll get at home, but the experience of that TV can be radically different depending on picture settings, lighting conditions, and the content you're watching. Showrooms are designed to make TVs look as eye-catching as possible under bright lights with optimized demo content. Professional reviewers test TVs under controlled conditions with calibrated settings and high-quality sources. And at home, you're dealing with your own unique lighting, viewing angles, and content mix. None of this means retailers or manufacturers are being dishonest.
It just means there's a gap, a big one, between what you see in the moment of purchase and what you experience over the long term. The solution isn't to avoid buying TVs in stores. It's to go in with realistic expectations, do your homework ahead of time, and know that the TV you bring home might need some tuning before it really shines. And if you do that, you'll end up with a TV that looks great, not just in the store, but in your space, with your content, under your conditions. That's the TV you actually want. If this video helped you understand why TVs look different in stores than they do at home, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future breakdowns like this. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever bought a TV that looked amazing in the store but disappointing at home? I'd love to hear your experience. And if you're shopping for a TV right now, check the description below. I've linked to some of the best professional review sites and calibration guides to help you make a smarter purchase. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.